The Wife is First. Volume 3, Gathering Storm. Chapter 91, Influence. Mu Hanzhong felt that it was a waste of time to sympathize with this man, so he pushed away the big head that was rubbing against his chest. The imperial court is not a school. How can I not go just because I don't want to? I still have a lot of things to do. Then he got up and walked about, ignoring the pitiful face that Jing Xiao was making. Yunzu was summoned and was told to go to Prince Rui's estate first to let Jing Chen know about Jing Xiao's house confinement. Still ignoring Prince Cheng, who was still sprawled down on the carpet, Mu Hanzhong then went back to his study in the east courtyard. He needed to write down the regulations that Emperor Hongzheng had asked about as soon as possible. Jing Xiao watched helplessly as his prince consort abandoned him, feeling a sense of sadness in his heart. He felt as if he had lost his career and now had to rely on his wife to support their family. When Jing Chen heard the news, he came over right away before dinner time. Emperor Hongzheng's order was that Jing Xiao was not allowed to go anywhere, but he did not say that others were not allowed to see him. Ji Huiqing asked me to give this to you. Jing Xiao handed the booklet with the list of his contacts to Jing Chen. A strange expression suddenly came upon Jing Chen's face as he said, "He has already given me a copy of this." Jing Xiao. Jing Chen. That idiot Ji Huiqing. To think that I even felt moved by his gesture for a while. Jing Xiao was furious. That man had the audacity to use the same thing to deceive the two brothers. Jing Chen looked carefully at the booklet in Jing Xiao's and found that the list in it was somewhat different from the one that he got. He took out the other copy received from his sleeve and looked at it, only to find out that the combination of the two booklets made up the complete list of contacts. This action of Ji Huiqing might have been to test whether the two brothers were really united or not. After all, whoever got something like this would hold a lot of power. If the two of them were not on the same side and hid the copy they received from one another, they would definitely end up using these resources wrongly. In due time, information about it would reach Ji Huiqing's ears. By then, cooperation between all of them would be out of the question. He's really someone who thoroughly thinks things through. After hearing his brother's analysis, Jing Xiao got a little confused. After all, this is the inheritance left by our ancestors. If I am to gamble with the empire's future, it would naturally not do if we just trusted someone blindly. Jing Chen put the two lists together and hid them back in his sleeves. He could not criticize Ji Huiqing's way of doing things. After all, when it came to cooperating with the vassal king, if the brothers were not of the same mind, it would be easier for them to make mistakes which could make the king of Huainan suffer by implications. By the way, Zhao Julan, the assistant minister of rights, has already joined Jing Yu's faction. Jing Xiao took a sip of tea and suddenly remembered the man who followed the fourth prince to search Ziwixian restaurant today. Ji Huiqing had also especially told to relay this information before leaving. Jing Chen frowned. He was in charge of the Ministry of Rights. He hadn't expected that Jing Yu's hand had already reached that far. Gerger, let's bribe someone in the Ministry of Justice as well. Jing Xiao said furiously. He felt annoyed just imagining Jing Yu being so pleased with himself. Jing Chen glanced at him and said, "The Minister of Justice is one of my followers." Jing Xiao almost spat out the mouthful of tea he had just sipped. From now on, if you don't understand something in the court, just ask Hanzhong. Jing Chen put down his cup and stood up. It was getting late and Prince Cheng had just been punished. It was inappropriate for him to come and visit him in such a conspicuous manner. Naturally, he couldn't stay for dinner again. After sending his brother away, Jing Xiao went back to the east courtyard to find his prince consort. It seemed that since Jun Qing had started attending court session, his elder brother no longer relied on him for matters in the court. Mu Hanzhong was currently writing his proposed regulations concerning trading with foreigners when suddenly a large and warm body suddenly plastered itself onto his back. "Are you hungry? How about you eat first while I finish writing this page?" Mu Hanzhong patted the big head on his shoulders while the brush above the paper kept moving as he quickly wrote beautiful and elegant calligraphy on the paper. Jing Xiao shook his head and continued to watch him finish writing this page before he asked, "Jun Qing, how much influence does my brother have in the court?" Mu Hanzhong put down his brush and turned to look at him. "I don't know exactly how many courtiers were on his side, but from what I have seen in the past few days, it seems that at least a third of the total officials in court are all his followers. However, most of these people hid this fact very well, especially those in high positions such as the Minister of War, who often opposed Jing Chen's proposals in the court. So, when he learned that he was one of Jing Chen's staunchest supporter, Mu Hanzhong was also shocked. It sounded inconceivable that a third of the officials in court were loyal to a single prince. After all, for a monarch with real power like Emperor Hongzheng, most of the courtiers should be loyal to him alone. So, for someone like the fourth prince, it would be extremely difficult to get even half the numbers of those who were not completely loyal to the emperor, let alone about a third of the total numbers of officials. Jing Xiao just nodded when he heard this. This was what he expected. Mu Hanzhong stood up, but the sticky brown candy hanging on him didn't fall off and was still stuck to his back. He had no choice but to drag such a big tail to the dining room. It hasn't even been 10 years since imperial brother-in-law left the imperial palace and established his own estate. How did he become so powerful already? By clinging to his prince consort, Jing Xiao shuffled along while dragging his feet. From the study to the inner room where they slept, they only had to pass through a flower garden. The surroundings were empty, so he didn't have to worry about being heard. Most of them were people left by my maternal grandfather. Maternal grandfather? Mu Hanzhong frowned and thought for a while. Empress Yuan was not born into a noble family, but her father was the prime minister of both the former emperor and the current emperor. It was said that when the late emperor died, several princes chaotically fought for the throne for some time. With the help of the prime minister, Emperor Hongzheng was able to defeat those ruthless brothers of his and managed to secure the throne for himself. However, Mu Hanzhong had never heard anyone mention the prime minister in recently years. Even Jing Xiao rarely mentioned anything about him. Actually, it's not that I can't talk about him. It's just that there's nothing much I can say. After dinner, Jing Xiao hugged his prince consort as they sat in the yard to enjoy the cool night breeze. The weather was clear tonight and the stars in the night sky were shining brightly. Empress Yuan's family name was Chu. She was the youngest and only daughter of Prime Minister Chu. Jing Xiao's two uncles died young and he couldn't even remember what they looked like. Later, after the death of Empress Yuan, Prime Minister Chu mourned the loss of his only daughter so badly, and due to his old age, he followed her soon after. Fortunately, Jing Chen was able to take charge of those responsibilities at that time, and so the late Prime Minister's faction did not completely collapse after he passed away. Emperor Hongzheng had not appointed any Prime Minister in all these years. Instead, he divided the duties of the Prime Minister and assigned them to the current 6 ministries. Could it be out of respect for his father-in-law? Mu Hanzhong frowned. He felt that things couldn't be so simple. Then what happened to the Zhou family? Jing Xiao lowered his head and looked at the head lying on his chest. His fair chin was placed upon his heart. His beautiful eyes were very bright, reflecting the starlight at night. He couldn't help but stretched out his hand and stroke his face. Minister Zhou belongs to my maternal grandfather faction. The Zhou family's teaching tradition was known to be rigorous, so my mother chose Zhou Yunji as my brother's study companion. He recalled that when Empress Yuan was still alive, Jing Xiao could basically go anywhere he wanted in the imperial palace. The Chu family, Empress Yuan, the Zhou family. Mu Hanzhong felt that it seemed he came across something that should not be spoken about. He couldn't help but reach out to gently caress the corner of Jing Xiao's bruised lips and said, "I will protect you from now on." Jing Xiao looked at him quietly, then he quickly pulled that warm body over and kissed those two soft lips deeply. The heavens took away his mother who loved him dearly, but they also gave him such a beautiful and loving Jun Cheng. In fact, the heavens had been kind to him. He was really satisfied. *****. The fourth son in Prince Rui's residence had a high fever and they invited the nun Mo Bei from Baiun Temple to take a look at him. The old nun gave them a pack of yellow powder, saying that if they mixed this with his milk, he would become fine. Consort Xiao was a little skeptical, but she had the wet nurse feed the child with the powder. After drinking it, the child's condition did really improved. She immediately gave the nun some generous gifts as the great sage completely won her over. When children are less than 1 year old, they can see things that ordinary people cannot see. If they cried often at night, it means they had been entangled by something. Mo Bei, who was wearing a grey hat, clasped her palms together and spoke mysteriously. "Great sage, what are those things?" Consort Xiao asked seriously. "Most of the things that can cause serious ailments are evil creatures, but that's not always the case," Mo Bei said as she fiddled with the sandalwood beads on her wrist while looking carefully at Consort Xiao's expression. Please forgive this lowly nun for speaking frankly, but by the looks of the young prince's condition, it seemed that his good fortune had been sucked away by something, or maybe he had been affected by someone with strong luck birth readings. A person with strong luck birth readings. Princess Consort Rui frowned and asked, "Can the great sage figure it out?" "This." Mo Bei hesitated. Consort Xiao motioned to the maidservant beside her to bring forward a plate of silver and said, "As long as the great sage can deal with it, money offerings to the temple is not a problem." Mo Bei glanced at the silver in the plate and then relaxed. "It will take some time to figure out the origin of this thing. Is better for your highness to first light some altar lamps that will burn night and day at the nunnery so as to ensure the safety of the young prince for the time being." When Jing Chen came back from the court session, he saw several nuns standing in the main courtyard. When they saw him coming back, they all blushed and moved aside to give him way. He couldn't help but frown. After a brief contemplation, he decided not to get into the main hall and instead, went straight to his study. *****. A few days later, the eldest prince returned to the court. When the eldest prince Jingrong came back, it was not as glorious as Jing Xiao's triumphant return. It was really not a glorious thing for a prince to escape before the battle was over. The eldest prince only took a dozen of his trusted followers with him and entered the city in dejection early in the morning, as this was when there were only a few people at the city gate. First, he had to go to the imperial study room to report. Naturally, Emperor Hongzheng would not give him a good look. Afterwards, he went to Fenji Palace to pay his respects, where the empress actually inquired about his well-being rather solicitously. "When you have been away from the capital, it has been hard on your fourth younger brother," the empress said with a smile, and rewarded the eldest prince with a bunch of health tonics. "It's good that you have come back. Looking at how much weight you have lost, you must have suffered there a lot. You have to take good care of yourself and try to get better in the coming days." The eldest prince's face did not look very good, as his complexion was sickly pale. Since last year, he had suffered from the miasmic air and then contracted a serious disease. His health kept getting worse day by day. If he didn't come back to the capital, he believed he might have had to remain in Yunnan Tibet forever. When the eldest prince came back, Prince Chen was being punished with house confinement. There were 3 princes in the court again, but the situation had changed. With Prince Chen being forbidden from leaving the residence, only Mu Hanzhong attended the court session every day. Jing Xiao had nothing to do and could only bully the tiger at home. He repeatedly tried to persuade his prince consort not to attend the court session, but was ruthlessly rejected each time. What made him even more unhappy was that since he was at home, Do Fu would come and ask him about affairs that he found difficult to deal with. Making a magnificent prince such as himself to handle these trivial matters really made him furious. As a result, Xiao Wang's daily life became more and more difficult. End chapter. The Wife is First. Volume 3, Gathering Storm. Chapter 92, Cloudy weather. After court session was dismissed, Mu Hanjiang went home to find Jing Xiao was practicing swordsmanship vigorously in the east courtyard while Xiao Huang was nowhere to be seen. Xiao Huang was a tiger after all. Even though it has no backbone in front of them, it was very fierce towards strangers. Therefore, Mu Hanjiang never allowed it to play outside of the east courtyard in order to avoid other people from being hurt. When Jing Xiao saw that his prince consort was back, he sheathed his sword and came over to him. He tilted his sweaty face toward his wife, waiting for him to wipe his face. "Where's Xiao Huang?" Mu Hanjiang asked as he took the cloth that was handed over by Ji Shi and wiped his husband's sweaty face with resignation. "I don't know." Jing Xiao closed his eyes comfortably. "It didn't want to play with me. It probably went to sleep somewhere." Mu Hanjiang got a little worried, so he asked Yunzu to look for Xiao Huang. The couple sat down on the divan under the veranda and Miao Shi brought them sour plum tea to relieve the heat of the summer day. "Why are you back so late today?" Jing Xiao drank a whole bowl of sour plum tea and breathed a sigh of relief. His gaze wandered over the slender legs next to him, drooling over them. As he spoke, he leaned over and quickly lay down while Mu Hanjiang was not paying attention. Mu Hanjiang put down the small bowl and saw that there was a big head on his thigh. Perhaps because he was bored at home these days, Jing Xiao became more and more sticky with him. Whenever he had nothing else to do, Jing Xiao would come over to kiss him or stroke him. Helplessly, he rubbed the top of his husband's head then sat back so he could lie down more comfortably. "Imperial father-in-law kept me behind to go to the imperial study room to talk for a while." Emperor Hongzheng seemed to be very interested in the matter of overseas trade. Mu Hanjiang handed over a draft of regulations a few days ago, but he had not heard anything about it for some time. Unexpectedly, he was suddenly called today to go and discuss many details about it. "It seems that my imperial father has indeed read your proposed regulations carefully." Jing Xiao looked up at the contour of his wife's graceful chin. Perhaps imperial father-in-law has already had this planned a long time ago." Mu Hanjiang carefully recalled Emperor Hongzheng's expression today. It looked like he was very interested in this. There were ports in Jiangnan where foreign ships docked. After a period of time when they go to Jiangnan, perhaps he would be able to engage in this kind of business to try it at first. "Your Highness, it's not good." Yunzu ran over in a hurry. "What's wrong?" Mu Hanjiang frowned. He had Yunzu looked for the tiger earlier. Could it be that Xiao Huang got into some trouble? "I just found out after asking for a long time that Xiao Huang ran into the stable," Yunzu reported as he gasped for breath. "What?" Jing Xiao sat up immediately. Xiao Huang was already quite big now. A roar from it might scare the tame horses in the stable. All the horses in their residence were all famous colts and he liked them dearly. Hopefully, they won't get stressed from this incident. The two of them quickly followed Yunzu to the stable. The stable master was standing outside the stable with a sad face and trembling with fear. "What's the matter? Where's the tiger?" Jing Xiao asked him. It's in Xiao He's shed." The stable master was almost crying. He was so frightened when he saw the tiger that he couldn't move and could only watch helplessly as it got into Xiao He's exclusive stall. Because Xiao He was his highness' favorite horse, it was always kept alone. Its stable was much wider compared to the other horses. The stall was also built with two exquisite low walls and the rope used to rein it was very long to ensure that it can freely move throughout the whole stall. Mu Hanjiang stepped over towards Xiao He's stall while Jing Xiao breathed a sigh of relief after hearing what the stable master had said. Then he followed his prince consort with an unhurried pace. The stable was very clean. The ground was covered with soft hay. There was fresh fodder in the trough, and a bamboo pole had been set up as a water dispenser. A thin stream of water flowed in continuously where the excess water would be caught by a sink by the outer layer. The water caught by the sink was drained directly outside the stable. The entire stable was very clean, presumably because it was cleaned several times a day, and there was no smell of horse manure at all. Xiao He nestled on the haystack, waving his tail in boredom. A fluffy half-grown tiger was nestled next to it, sleeping with its arms spread out while holding a horse's hoof in its paw. Everyone became speechless for a moment. Xiao He was very happy to see that its master had come. It stood up immediately, thinking that Jing Shao was going to take it out to play. Jing Shao was speechless himself when he saw this scene. He knew that Xiao He was very unusual for a horse. Not only could it avoid obstacles on its own, but it was also unafraid in the face of ferocious beasts. No matter what happened on the battlefield, Jing Shao had never seen Xiao He ever became scared. Moreover, Xiao Huang was able to eat its fill every meal, so it would naturally not think of hunting Xiao He, so he was not worried at all. However, it was still beyond imagination that a horse and a tiger could fall asleep next to one another. Xiao Wang's pillow suddenly disappeared and it got up in a daze, shaking its head with some displeasure. When it turned around, it saw Mu Hanjiang, so it ran around and rubbed against him. It happened to be noon at this time. Because Xiao He's stable was not easy to service, the stable workers who take care of the horses took half-day shifts. The servants who were on duty in the afternoon came for the change of shifts and found that there were many people around the stable today. They thought that something had happened with Xiao He, and so, they rushed over to take a look. When they came to understand what had happened, one stable worker bravely said, "There is nothing to worry about, Your Highness. This tiger cub often comes to the stable to play with Xiao He. We have long become familiar with it already." As it turned out that Xiao Huang couldn't find a suitable playmate in the residence. Once, it sneaked out into the stable and jumped onto the manger to play with Xiao He's mane. However, Xiao He sprayed hot air on its face, which scared it that it nearly fell off. Later, Xiao Huang discovered that among the living creatures in the estate, only Xiao He was not afraid of it. So, it often came to play with Xiao He in the afternoon. Va Wu. When Xiao Huang noticed that its master was ignoring it, it ran back to Xiao He to catch its tail that was swinging around. Xiao He was anxious to go out to play, so it stamped its hooves, turned around and sprayed hot air on the tiger's face with a blast of warm air, blowing some of the fur on top of its fluffy head. Xiao Huang usually came to the stable in the afternoon, but today he came in the morning, which caused everyone to worry. Mu Hanjiang looked at Jing Shao. His husband must have bullied the tiger so much that it forced the little animal to escape to the stables. Jing Shao looked away with a guilty conscience. "It's not my fault. I was just bored and teased it for a little while." Mu Hanjiang sighed. He had been raised in the inner courtyard as a child. He could endure being stuck indoors for 10 days straight or even half a month and pass the time by reading and practicing his calligraphy. But Jing Shao was different. Making him stay inside the residence all by himself would likely make him feel wronged. Thus, he explained, "I have already told Imperial Father-in-law that this list of regulations needed to be drafted thoroughly, so His Majesty had already exempted me from other duties, so I'll come home directly from court next time." Really? When Jing Shao heard this, he immediately became happy. Since he was forbidden from attending court session, Emperor Hongzheng actually asked Mu Hanjiang to take over the affairs of the Ministry of War. As Prince Consort Cheng was a conscientious worker, he would often come back from the imperial court to have lunch. Then he would go out again to go to the Ministry of War to spend the afternoon there. With this changes, if Jing Shao slept in during the morning while Yung Qing went to attend the court session, Jing Shao would be able to see his wife as soon as he opened his eyes. Seeing that he was happy, Mu Hanjiang also raised his lips into a smile. There was another reason why he didn't want to meddle too much in court affairs these days. After the emperor discovered that the king of Huainan went to the capital without an imperial decree, there had been no reply to the missive reprimanding the king of Huainan. This vassal king acted as if he was not afraid of being put into boiling water, which made Emperor Hongzheng angry. The tone of the imperial letters was becoming more and more intense. It was clear to see that he was not far from ordering the withdrawal of the vassal territory. Emperor Hongzheng still seemed to be unable to let go of Jiyu Huiking's contact with Jing Shao during his visit to the capital. He discussed the matter with Jing Chen and decided that to avoid calling attention to them, sensitive places like the Ministry of War should be avoided as much as possible. Of course, for Jing Shao, this was a wonderful thing. In the blink of an eye, it was already the 7th month of the year. The weather was getting hotter and hotter as the situation in the court became more and more tense. Jiangnan was extremely important to Jing Shao, but the fourth prince have long been eyeing this opportunity to make meritorious deeds. The decree about the withdrawal of the vassal territory had yet to be issued, but both sides had already fought over it a lot. Since Jing Shao was not yet released from house confinement, the situation seemed to be very favorable to the fourth prince. At the same time, Consort Qiu was about to give birth. It's been said that the young master of Prince Rui's estate is sick again. Have you visited him? Lady Qiu asked worriedly as she took the fresh fruit being offered by her son. Mu Hanzhong was a man and there were many etiquettes that needed to be observed in the imperial household. Second Consort Qiu had been worried that her son wouldn't handle things properly and might offend his sister-in-law. How does mother know this? Mu Hanzhong frowned. It was taboo to gossip about a sick child who was not even a full year old yet. With Princess Consort Rui's temperament, she would naturally not want others to know about it. Her mother never left her courtyard every day. How could she know about these things? The third madam went to Biyun Temple to offer incense and learned that the great sage Mo Bei was not there. She heard from a young nun that she went to Prince Rui's estate again. Lady Qiu sighed. It was not easy to raise a child. It's good if the child was in good health, but it was heartbreaking if the child often fell sick. But now, Princess Consort Rui was putting too much faith in this nun Mo Bei, which was not a good thing. That Mo Bei coaxed Princess Consort Rui to light 49 everlasting lanterns at Biyun Temple. The money for the lanterns cost 49 taels of silver per month. Every time the third madam came back from offering incense, she would always click her tongue and sighed for a long time. The child is still very young. I'm afraid I'll just get in way if I go there. Mu Hanzhong pursed his lips. Besides, there are so many things going on in the imperial court and His Highness is still under confinement, so I can't go to Prince Rui's estate. A few days ago, the old nun determined that the one who had sucked Xiao Xi's good fortune was the illegitimate son who had been born a few days before him. Princess Consort Rui said that she would send the illegitimate son to their summer villa to be raised there. When Jing Chen found out, he became furious and said that she was obsessed. However, his fourth-rank concubine thought about it and then personally knelt in front of Prince Rui and begged to be allowed to take the child to the summer villa to be raised. They had been at the villa for a month now. After hearing this, Lady Qiu frowned and said, "Then it's better not to go for now." Now that the concubine's son was gone and the fourth son had a fever again, who knew who would be blamed for it this time around, so it was better not to go in case trouble arise. Mu Hanzhong advised her not to worry about such things. He was very careful about his mother's health. After all, as a middle-aged lady, giving birth was a bit more dangerous for her. So he spent a lot of money to hire a famous midwife to stay in the Marquis of Beiwei's residence for the duration of the pregnancy. Imperial physician Jiang's pulse examinations also changed from every 7 days to every 3 days to prevent any accidents. The women in the Marquis of Beiwei's residence were all speechless as they watched this, sighing that having a marquis for a son really made a lot of difference. Even when the legitimate wife of the Marquis of Beiwei was pregnant, she had never been taken care of so meticulously. *****. In the middle of the 7th month, the imperial court and the king of Huainan finally shed all pretense of cordiality. Emperor Hongzheng issued an imperial decree to withdraw the vassal state, but Jiyu Huiqing directly blocked the emissary from entering the city gate. The emissary had no choice but to announce the imperial edict outside the city gate. The king of Huainan immediately announced his defiance against the imperial edict. It scared the emissary so much that he hurriedly turned his horse around and ran away. Emperor Hongzheng was so furious and decided to send troops to attack Huainan. End chapter. The Wife is First. Volume 3, Gathering Storm. Chapter 93, Fighting. The terrain in the south of the Yangtze River is flat and there is basically no danger to be wary of in defending the Huainan area. With this campaign, performing meritorious service would be almost for nothing. The fourth prince spoke as he paced in Fenji Palace. Mother, I must get the commanding position for this campaign on Huainan this time. The empress nodded. Now that Jingyu had come of age, he needed to make meritorious service as soon as possible so that he could be conferred an imperial title. If I had known that the campaign at the Southeast Territory was so easy, I would have made you go there. Listening to Emperor Hongzheng when he talked about it, it seemed that the former king of Southeast was just unlucky to be killed by his concubine. Jing Shao conquered the Southeast without any effort at all. While the two people in Fenji Palace was excitedly plotting how to keep others from taking this opportunity, the atmosphere in the Marquis of Beiwei was also full of excitement, though in a different way. How's the situation? Mu Hanzhong hurriedly walked in and asked his father, who was sitting at the side. The Marquis of Beiwei was frowning, but his eyes could not hide his hope and expectations. Maybe it will be soon. Mu Hanzhong watched the maidservants who were rushing in and out as he listened to the screams of pain that escaped from the inner room from time to time. He clasped his hands together, not knowing what to do. Don't be afraid. Jing Shao, who insisted on following him, consoled. When he saw that his prince consort was so nervous, he hurriedly walked over and hugged him, then said, I heard that second pregnancy always goes quite smoothly. When my imperial mother gave birth to me, she didn't need to exert so much effort. Mu Hanzhong glanced at him and asked, how did you know? That's what the people in the imperial palace said so. Apparently, as soon as the midwife and the imperial physician went it, they heard my crying within a quarter of an hour, Jing Shao said proudly. Your Highness must have been very thin when he was a child. The third aunt who came over to join in the fun couldn't help but interject such a comment after hearing this. Mu Hanzhong glanced at his third aunt, who was wearing a flattering smile, and then looked at Jing Shao again. Jing Shao didn't seem to hear what third aunt had said at all and continued to banter with his prince consort. That's why imperial father said that I am a lucky star, and I will definitely make a better future for the empire. Named after the final movement of the famous harmonious flute melodies, the phoenix appears. Perhaps when Jing Shao was young, Emperor Hongzheng truly did cherish the son of his. Mu Hanzhong did get distracted and fell into deep thought in a daze. It was hard to imagine that Jing Shao would be thin and small when he was a child. Thus, he asked, then what were you like when you were a child? I was fat when I was a child. Jing Shao puffed up his cheeks and tried to demonstrate what he looked like when he was fat. Ha ha ha. Mu Hanzhong finally got amused by his antics. He reached out and poked his bulging cheek as the heavy tension he had been carrying disappeared. The third aunt, who received the cold shoulder, felt awkward and sat back down again to the side in embarrassment. After waiting anxiously for a long time, Jing Shao was afraid that his prince consort would get tired from standing for so long, so he hugged him and had him leaned against him. For the first time, Mu Hanzhong did not refuse the intimate gestures in front of others. Even though he was no longer so nervous, he still felt an uncontrollable fear in his heart. Women had to go through hell when they gave birth to children. He couldn't imagine what he would do if some misfortune unexpectedly befell on his mother. The steady arms around his waist and the warm chest against his back gave him great courage, as if he didn't have to worry even if the sky above them collapsed. Wah! A crisp cry broke through the silence in the room. The Marquis of Beiwei suddenly stood up from his seat, but he couldn't go in, so he just paced back and forth in front of the inner room door. The midwife came out with a happy expression. Congratulations, Lord Marquis, it's a young master. Really? Mu Jin seemed to be several years younger all of a sudden, with a smile that couldn't be hidden on his usually calm face. Jing Shao patted the extremely emotional person in his arms and asked, "How is the second consort?" "Madam is complete, safe and sound," the midwife said hurriedly. "Thanks to the meticulous care she received over the past 6 months, Madam is in very good health." Mu Hanjiang breathed a sigh of relief, and now a smile appeared on his face as well. Jing Shao took advantage of the others not paying attention to them and quickly kissed the curved corner of his wife's mouth. Not long after, the midwife went in and brought out the cleaned infant wrapped in a soft quilt. Mu Jin took the bundle very excitedly, as Jing Shao and his wife also went over to take a look curiously. The infant's little face was wrinkled up, his skin was red and his eyes were closed. It was quite hard to tell exactly what he looked like. However, the third aunt praised loudly, "He looks so handsome, just like Hanjiang when he was born." The Marchioness of Beiwei's face darkened when she heard that it was a son, and her expression became even more uglier when she heard the third aunt's words. The infant was all wrinkled up, pretty much like Doufu's steamed bun face, but he didn't dare to say this. Mu Hanjiang glanced at Madame Du, who still hadn't opened her mouth to reward the servants. He turned to his father with a smile and said, "Father hasn't named my brother yet. He shall be called Long Lin." "Ha ha ha." Mu Jin lifted his youngest son up and looked at him. He looked extremely satisfied. The last of the 9 treasure weapons was the blade of the swift path named Long Lin. Mu Hanjiang nodded. When his brother grew up, his courtesy name could be Ling Mo, which was elegant and sounds pleasant, but Long Lin sounded a little harsh. In the future, he could just be called Lin Air. The servants all reacted after hearing this and came forward to give their congratulations one after another. The Marquis of Beiwei said happily, "Reward. Each one will be rewarded with 5 taels of silver." Thanking the Lord Marquis for the reward, the servants immediately beamed with joy. Usually when there was a new birth in the main family, if it was a young miss, the reward would be 1 tael, and if it was a young master, the reward would be 2 taels. As expected, this young master was the most favored. When the Marchioness of Beiwei heard this, she almost tore the handkerchief in her hand into pieces. She deliberately delayed announcing the reward so that the servants could see clearly who was the official mistress of the house. Who would have thought that the Marquis of Beiwei would speak about it before she could? These men in the Mu family didn't understand what kind of precedents they were setting with this kind of reward. Mu Hanjiang glanced at the Marchioness of Beiwei and thought that when they have to leave for Jiangnan in a short while, he would have to keep Ji Ruoyi here to take care of Lin Air. On the whole way back, Mu Hanjiang kept a smile on his face. If you don't want Lin Air to seize the title of the Marquis of Beiwei, you can actually let him inherit your title. Seeing how happy his wife was, Jing Shao also curled his eyes. How can that be done? The Marquis of Wenyuan is not a hereditary title. Mu Hanjiang shook his head. His younger brother had just been born, so it is not certain what path he would take in the future. It was too early to say anything for now. As long as he could grow up safely, all would be good. The happiness of the Marquis of Beiwei obviously could not be spread to the imperial court. When he went to court the next day, Mu Hanjiang immediately concealed the smile on his face as soon as he entered the palace gate and walked in as calmly as water. "Imperial father, this prince is willing to go." When the matter of attacking Jiangnan was brought up, the 4th prince couldn't wait to step forward. Although Huainan is not as vast as the southwest, it is a better territory because of its fertile lands, said the Minister of War with a frown. The king of Huainan has accumulated wealth over several generations and is well equipped. This official is afraid that he will be very difficult to deal with. Then in Minister Sun's opinion, who should be sent there? Emperor Hongzheng's facial expression was profound, making it hard for anyone to decipher what he was thinking. This official believed that the Huainan fiefdom is extremely important, and for the sake of certain victory, Prince Cheng should be sent there. The Minister of War declared calmly. This official believed that although the 4th prince is young, he is calm and decisive, and is worthy of taking great responsibility. There is nothing wrong with sending the 4th prince there. The Minister of Justice stepped forward and spoke. Mu Hanzhong glanced at Jing Chen calmly and continued to lower his eyes without saying a word. The fourth prince has already come of age. He should have the chance to gain some experience. In this subject's opinion, the rebellion in Huainan is a good opportunity. The talkative Count of Yongchang was thrown to Yunnan Tibet, so the Duke of Mao had no choice but to speak himself. Given his status, it should not be too surprising to hear him said these words. For a while, the court got immersed in arguing over the matter. Emperor Hongzheng remained silent and just watched. When the time was almost up, he stood up and said, "That's it for today. We will discuss this matter again tomorrow." After that, he flung out his sleeves and left. For a time, everyone couldn't guess what Emperor Hongzheng meant by this. It had been a few days since the news about Jiangnan came back, but the emperor had not released Prince Cheng from house confinement. For a while, everyone speculated whether he had no intention to deploy Prince Cheng this time around. However, today in court, it seemed that he also didn't plan to send the fourth prince. Is His Majesty waiting for Prince Cheng to admit his mistake? After leaving the main hall, the two officials whispered with one another. What mistake did Prince Cheng make? Another person asked with a frown. I heard that he was stubborn and contradicted His Majesty. The speaker looked around and said, in my opinion, His Majesty still prefers to send Prince Cheng. Today, the fourth prince had made the declaration, but his words didn't even receive any sort of acknowledgement. The fourth prince, who was passing by on the upper steps, could not help clenching his fists when he heard the discussion below. He turned around and walked towards Fenji Palace. Meanwhile, Mu Hanzhong and Jing Chen looked at each other, then both turned and left in tacit understanding. Hanzhong, do you want to go back with father to see your younger brother? The Marquis of Beiwei was still immersed in the joy of siring a son in his old age. Father. Mu Hanzhong greeted him and gave him a meaningful gesture. The Marquis of Beiwei realized that he had forgotten where he was. He quickly restrained his smile and asked, what is His Highness' intention regarding this campaign to Huainan? Mu Hanzhong sighed and replied, His Highness has been worrying about this matter for a long time in his estate. He hopes to use this excuse to get his confinement lifted. After hearing this, several officials passing by looked at each other. When the Marquis of Beiwei raised his head, they hurriedly bowed their heads and left. That night, Emperor Hongzheng was scheduled to stay at Fenji Palace. Your Majesty, Yu heir is about to reach adulthood, but he has not made any achievements yet. His two brothers had been granted imperial titles, so it's time to give him a chance to learn through experience. The Empress then carefully served Emperor Hongzheng to take off his coat. Thinking about how her son was today, she couldn't help but frown at the thought of her son's flustered expression. Jingyu was taking this matter too seriously. If the emperor saw how impatient he was, he might not relent and not appoint him to go. Confer an imperial title. Emperor Hongzheng glanced at the empress and continued, isn't Jing Rong also not granted an imperial title yet? Why are you so anxious? How could that be considered in the same way? The empress secretly gritted her teeth but retained her gentle smile on the outside. In any case, Jingyu is a legitimate son after all. Although the order of birth could be considered, the difference of the legitimate children should be considered as well. When Emperor Hongzheng heard this, his expression immediately turned cold and asked, is there really any difference between children of the official wife and that of the concubines? The Empress immediately became frightened. Could it be that she said something wrong? Suddenly a thought came into her mind and she immediately broke out in a cold sweat. Such matters are not of importance within the imperial family. This consort has made a mistake. Emperor Hongzheng himself had not been born to an empress. He hated those who liked to insist on emphasizing this difference. He directed a frigid glance at the empress whose head was still lowered. When Empress Yuan was still alive, she treated everyone equally. This wife simply thinks that since Prince Cheng had defeated the two vassal kings in succession, he became quite complacent upon his return. Now, he even dared to contradict your majesty. If he is released just because he was needed to fight this war, then," she then glanced at Emperor Hongzheng's expression carefully. She did not finish her words, but everyone could hear why she was trying to imply. Emperor Hongzheng didn't say anything this time. He just glanced at the Empress for a few times, then he turned and walked to the bed. "If Jingyu wants to fight, let him come over and tell me personally tomorrow morning." The Empress' eyes brightened up upon hearing the Emperor's word. She promptly agreed and quickly called for someone to tell the fourth prince to wait at Fenji Palace before the court session tomorrow morning. She ordered the eunuch in charge to open a side door for him. Asterisk asterisk asterisk. It's been said that a message was sent from the imperial palace last night, asking the fourth prince to go to Fenji Palace before dawn, Mu Hanzhong said to Jing Shao while tying the belt of his middle coat. He turned to look at his husband and suddenly blushed. You should at least wear something. The weather had gotten so hot. Jing Shao got out of bed this morning to help his prince consort get dressed. Since there was no one else around, he walked about completely naked. Seeing Jun Qing's handsome face blushed so profusely, he couldn't help but said proudly, "Why are you so shy? It's not like you've never seen it before." End chapter.